Oren Cass, The Once and Future Worker, A Vision for the Renewal of Work in America. Step into the world of Oren Cass's critical analysis of American labor and social policy in The Once and Future Worker, A Vision for the Renewal of Work in America. This summary covers the author's perspective on the central failures of American public policy since World War II, which prioritizes consumption at the expense of meaningful work and productivity. Delve into Cass's solutions such as supporting local jobs, halting unskilled immigration, and rethinking trade agreements. Discover the importance of culture and attitude in elevating the value of work and fostering a strong, functioning democracy. This summary explores the criticisms, praises, arguments, and suggestions offered by Cass as we ponder upon the future of work.
American Labor and Social Policy. A critique of U.S. labor policies with a solution-oriented approach that encourages work and empowers workers. American Compass Executive Director, Oren Cass, challenges the U.S. labor market policies with a subtle but controversial approach. Cass suggests policies should encourage employed workers rather than idle ones and shift focus from welfare for the idle to assistance for the employed. This, he argues, would support displaced and unemployed workers. Yuval Levin, editor of National Affairs, applauds Cass' ideas, noting, his diagnosis cuts to the heart of what's troubling our political economy, and his prescriptions chart the way toward a more constructive politics. Cass draws fire from some opposing voices, including James K. Galbraith, who claims that Cass's focus on labor markets is a misunderstanding. Galbraith criticizes Cass's opposition to regulations and his suggestion of a flex fund for states, claiming it is an old scam, and it will lead to states slashing benefits to attract the poor from other states. However, there are supporters of Oren Cass's proposal. Former boss, U.S. Senator Mitt Romney, says the book should be required reading for those who endeavor to create a labor market in which workers can create and support strong families and communities. Samuel Hammond of the Niskanen Center finds the book a coherent critique of hyperglobalization paired with a strategy for re-empowering the working class. In summary, Oren Cass proposes a shift in focus from idle workers to employed workers in U.S. labor policies, which could help support displaced and unemployed workers positively. Despite receiving critiques from some professionals, including James K. Galbraith, the book receives a fair share of support from Samuel Hammond, Mitt Romney, and Yuval Levin. Recalibrating economic policy for purposeful work. Oren Cass argues that the U.S. needs to reevaluate its economic and labor policy by creating more purposeful and living-wage jobs to deter the epidemic of idle workers and soaring national debt caused by poor economic policies since the 1960s. Cheap goods have stimulated consumption but sacrificed productivity, leading to eroding access to purposeful work for unskilled and undereducated workers. Cass suggests supporting local jobs that pay living wages and ending immigration of unskilled workers. He also urges the federal government to renegotiate or cancel trade agreements that harm domestic manufacturing and low-skilled workers. Cass believes that purposeful work that pays enough to support a family is the bedrock of a functioning democracy. It provides meaning, improves communities, and promotes happiness. However, he acknowledges that work is hard, and society needs to ensure that the reward for pursuing it is maximized. By creating jobs that pay a living wage, individuals can derive more happiness from their work than from their spouses or children. Implementing such policies will not make everyone rich, but it will support families and communities, and reduce the national debt. Cass on the cost of environmental laws, vocational track, and immigration. In his book, Cass argues that restrictive environmental laws depress wages, restrict investments, and cut jobs. He suggests that government and businesses work together to provide job-specific training to support the workforce. Cass highlights that vocational tracks and apprenticeships could be a viable option for students seeking fulfilling careers. He also asserts that strict employment taxes, laws, and safety regulations increase costs for employers and shrink workers' paychecks. Cass advocates for immigration policies that exclude immigrants without college degrees but provide work permits to undocumented immigrants. He also supports a path to citizenship for those living in the country for more than 10 years. Cass believes that state enticements and tax relief result in interstate competition and unfairness to existing businesses. Additionally, he emphasizes that wage subsidies should support those who work, and government assistance should only be provided to the old, disabled, or temporarily unemployed. Work and self-sufficiency. In his book, Cass argues for a shift in culture and attitude where work that benefits the community should be praised while idleness should be shamed. He advocates for a return to valuing independence and self-sufficiency. Cass strongly opposes the implementation of a universal basic income, UBI, as it would decrease people's motivation to work and contribute to society. Instead, Cass believes in the importance of maintaining commitment to work, self-reliance, community, and the nation. He warns that a reliance on UBI would turn the United States into a nation of trust fund babies. The changing nature of work. Fervent conservative ideologue, Cass argues against universal day care and basic income. While thought-provoking, some of his proposals yearn for a vanished era, and fail to address the reality that automation and outsourcing have transformed the job market. Cass overlooks the fact that the once and future worker are not the same person, nor do they do the same job in the same way. Cass' book, written in 2018, is part of a growing collection of works exploring the changing nature of work, alongside Cristobal Young's The Myth of Millionaire Tax Flight, Patrick J. Denon's Why Liberalism Failed, and Ross Douthat's The Decadent Society.
In The Once and Future Worker, Oren Cass highlights the damaging impact of American labor and social policies prioritizing cheap goods and consumption over preserving domestic jobs and productivity. His suggested solutions involve cultivating employment that pays living wages, stopping unskilled immigration, challenging detrimental trade policies, and establishing a cultural shift that values meaningful work. Though some of Cass's proposals may seem controversial or nostalgic, the underlying message of the book focuses on empowering the working class and promoting self-reliance, family values, and strong communities. With a diverse array of opinions from critics and supporters alike, there's no denying the importance of engaging with these pertinent questions about the future of work and American society.